Hi there, and thanks again for joining us today. I'm your host, Danielle, Banda. And if you're a rock and roll fan, then stop what you're doing right now and pay attention. Our team had the chance to head on out and meet Rock and Roll James, who's really been a big icon when it comes to South Texas radio, television, and of course overall entertainment culture for over 35 years now. We asked him what it's like to step into his world for a little bit so you can get a sneak peek at his life.
Well, I go by the name Rock and Roll James, and that's my professional name that I've had for about 40 years almost, since I started working at clubs and then went into radio and everything else. But I'm originally from Mercedes, Texas, and I've been living here in the Rio Grande Valley all my life. I was working at a nightclub, and I had started Rock Night because I had previously gone to the nightclub, and it was Rock Night, and I went in there because it was Rock Night and the DJ was playing disco. So I went and I told the owner, hey man, they're not playing rock. So he says, well, that's the only DJ I got. And I said, well, if you give me tonight, because I was working at a club in Harlingen, and Wednesday was my night off, and that's why I was over here in McAllen at that particular club. And I said, give me Wednesday nights and I'll pick it up for you. So he gave me Wednesday nights, gave me $250. I went to La Plaza Mall to the record stores. I bought records, came back, and then before you knew it, about 3 weeks, it was like the biggest night of the week, Rock Night. So the doorman, I was walking into the club, and the doorman just said, come on in, Rock and Roll James. And he was a good friend of mine too, as a matter of fact, is a good friend of mine. Shout out to Rene Parrao, and he's the one that gave me the moniker Rock and Roll James, and it's stuck ever since. Well, I started DJing when I was a kid. I always wanted to be in music, either a singer in a band or a DJ or something having to do with music, because I loved music when I was a kid. So when I was in high school, about 9th grade, 8th grade, there was a little radio station in Mercedes, and I'd stop by and I would ask the program director. His name's Frankie D, who's currently with a radio station here in the Valley, who's been here for all his life as well. I kept asking him, hey, give me a shot if you need anybody, and they didn't have anything. So, I always knew I wanted to be in some sort of profession that, is about music. And so, I started DJing, and then Frankie D got me a job as a DJ at Louis' Backyard when I was like about 17. It was 1984, somewhere around there. And I got the job, and I started making $5,000 a month at the age of 17, living on South Padre Island. And that's when I said, you know what, this is definitely a business I can be in. So that's where my career pretty much started and took off. And then after the island, I started DJing at other clubs here in the Rio Grande Valley, and it became very popular. And then I was approached by some radio DJs from a Tejano radio station in 1988. It was KIWW, which was in Harlingen. And they would go to the club, and a guy named Brother John went up to me and said, hey, you know what? You'd be good on radio, man. You'd be good on radio. So the next thing you know, they asked me to go in and read a little script, and I got the job as a part-time DJ weekends, 1988.
Feel free to check him out on Instagram to keep up with the latest on all he's got going on.